look like. An exact replica would be made, endowed with the energies of the original, in other words, the crystals or the tablets, what was in it, and it would go around from city to city. So, millions of people would be donating. So the world would have a lot of money, the organisers have a lot of money to help this planet.
Right.
We can anticipate millions of dollars to cure worldwide, actually, on an annual basis. And this would also prove that the Exodus, finding the Ark will also prove the Exodus and encourage more people to recover their belief in God. And the Holy Scriptures are strongly uniting all the faiths and religions. And maybe we can eliminate wars and hatred altogether, but it will help it anyway. Help to eliminate it.
Right.
The Ark of the Covenant has to be displayed in all these different places, but once a year it would go back to Jerusalem, where the three religious faiths, Christians, Jews, and the Muslims, could get together, and they still pray in each way. None of them would change their faith, but they'd all discuss their religious ways and be more like, well, we all believe in the same God, so it's all like having the same sort of religion, but they're all praying their own way. So it'd probably help all that.
Right.
It's really involved. Yeah, go on.
You also designed a monument for peace thing.
That's right. I made a drawing which you saw, and it will be on your whatever you get, where you're going to show it, on your website, whatever. And it's in the book that I designed a monument of peace, showing the cross, Jesus' cross, the Star of David, the Hebrew word of God, and a large word for Allah.
Right.
And on top is the dove of peace and the Ten Commandments. But I thought, I had an idea, in fact I had this idea in the middle of the night, that there should be a plaque on there. And this is what I thought the plaque should read: in memory of all who were persecuted or killed because of their religion, we believe in one God, he that created all that moves and all that is still, and all that is seen and all that's invisible. Love thy neighbour, respect their beliefs, and live together forever in peace. Those are the words I want to put on it.
Well, let's hope someone or some group makes that monument.
Yeah, I hope so, and I reckon the best place for it to be put up would be in Jerusalem.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, because so much turmoil over there, maybe that would help bring it together. Absolutely.
That's true.
Did you end up going back to Egypt after that? Was that previous trip your last trip? Of course, I know it wasn't, because I read the book, that you did end up going back to Egypt.
Yeah, I went back in March 2005.
And this is where the real adventure begins.
This is where the real adventure begins, because we actually found an even better driver than what we first had. And this guy, Egyptian, and he was a real good guy. In fact, he's like my brother now. And we picked up this guy we had to pay. Asked me for $500 to find it, and we got him. So there was me, my driver, and this guy who was going to show us the way to the cave. And we went out to the desert. Again, we first went to the monks' cave because I wanted to speak to them, that they were nice people. And again, I made my meal on that. Right. And we went out off to find this cave. And we looked for about 3 days, and he couldn't find it. He just couldn't find it.
The guy who said that he'd found a cave with bones.
Yeah, he said it's difficult to find it now because we're going out in a truck. And he went out in the desert walking around, and he couldn't. It was years ago, and he couldn't find it, and this, that, and the other. He says, but it's still like $500. I said, no way, Jose. All I'm going to give you is $100 for your time, which $100 is a lot of money for these guys out there. You know, some of them don't even earn $50 a week.
Right.
Their wages are $50. If you find a job, you'd be surprised at the poverty out there. And $100 is like gold to him. So I gave him $100, and we took him back to the main road because he couldn't start crossing the desert. And my driver and I went out searching for the cave.
Okay.
And we thought, well, let's spend a whole week looking and let's see if we can find something. Well, we knew we couldn't find just the cave. We've got to find this pyramid-shaped hill. After about 5 days, I said to him, you know what? I said, I think I've wasted my life. It's impossible to find such a cave. It's impossible to find all those landmarks that she's given me. We're talking of far more than a grain of rice in the desert, or, as they say, a needle in a haystack.
Right.
You couldn't find it. It's an impossibility.
You got an entire desert out there. You're looking for a mound, you know, a cave.
Tens of thousands of square miles. I mean, you know, how are you going to find anything? It's just impossible unless you know where to go.
Right. So you're feeling very disheartened at this point.
Disheartened, gee whiz. You know, it's cost me quite a lot of money over 18 years research. And, you know, I financed it all myself. I never got anybody to finance it me. And actually, I didn't tell you, but when we came out to Spain, most of the money that I had, I invested it into a bank that went bust.
Oh, no.
And, and all we're living on is our state pensions and stuff like that. We're living okay, but there's no extra money to do things we want to do. Anyhow, I told the driver to take me to a place called the Bahariya Oasis, and that's out in that direction, out in the desert. It's quite away from where we were, but it says take me out to the Bahrain Oasis because I want to go out there. Because I wanted to see it and at least do some sightseeing. And I told him that it's not meant to me to find the cave or the ark, and I've wasted my time and my money, what I had, and I'm going to, even my family, you know, my children, I was concentrating on this ark every day. For 18 years, the word ark come to me, and what am I going to do? Who am I going to meet? This I'm going to do, and everything else. And right. I thought, forget about it. And I just said to this guy, I laughed and I said to him, you know what? I says, I'm so disappointed and heartened that all the trips I've made and all what I've done, and I'm exhausted. I want to go to sleep. I says, if anyone's going to find this pyramid hill or the ark, I says, you have got more chance of finding it than me. And he laughed. He says, no way. He says, forget about it. Let's go off to the Bahrain Oasis. I said, okay, let's call it a day, and that's it. And I fell asleep in his truck, and off we went in the direction of this Bahrain Oasis. What seemed like a few minutes, I was in a deep sleep. The driver nudged me, and he started screaming, excited. He says, Jerry, I found the cave, I found the cave, I found the cave, I found the cave. Jerry, I found the cave, there's all bones around it. I thought I was having a dream. I thought it was a dream. This is not true. And I looked at the guy. I said, no, this is a dream. Pinch me. This is a dream. He said, no, I found it. Look. And I got out of his truck and I looked. And then, lo and behold, beside the vehicle was a freestanding sand-filled cave. And it had all bones around it. And you saw the picture of that, didn't you?
Yeah, I seen the picture. Yep. And it looks exactly like the drawing.
Exactly what this woman had drawn. Not only did the drawing look the same, but after I was stunned and excited actually to find the cave, I said to the driver, I want to take a picture of the landscape. Let's drive over about 100 yards away or a couple of 100 yards away so I can get the whole landscape with this, see what the cave looks like from the distance. So I had my digital camera that takes movie, and I started taking movie, panning it from the left to the right. And when I got to the actual cave, I stopped because behind the cave was a pyramid-shaped hill, exactly what she had drawn. And in front of the cave, there was all twigs and stuff like that in front of the cave. And I says, what's all this? And the driver, who knew the desert quite well, he says, well, that must have been a dried up river. So we'd found the landmarks, what this woman had told us. We found the cave, which was freestanding, all the bones around it, a pyramid-shaped hill, and actually the pyramid-shaped hill, this woman had drawn, the Joyce had drawn it behind the cave when she did the drawing.
It's exactly what she did.
And exactly. It's incredible.
And she also mentioned the dry riverbed.
She mentioned on the 5 landmark, we're going to find the dry riverbed, and there it was. It was dried up riverbed. And she also mentioned that we're going to find 2 entrances. And my driver said at the time, we've got to camp here this evening, but we can't camp here. It's a bit windy. I'll find a shelter place. And he came back. I found another entrance to the cave, also Sandfield, and it was behind it, exactly what she said. So there we had all the landmarks, and the 5th landmark was unusual because he said to me, look, go and get some of this wood and we'll light a campfire out here so we can cook our meal and all that. And he started unpacking his truck because he had a tent on there. So you'll have to sleep in the truck, Jerry, because not enough room to both of us be sprawled in the back of the truck. It's going to be a bit tight anyway. And he's got a one-man tent, and he'll sit by the side. He said, go and get some brushwood, and we camp here, and we'll have a look. We couldn't even look for the art because, as I say, the cave was probably 20 times the size 3,000 years ago. So and it's filled with sand. We don't know whether it's in the space of the cave or the cave was larger and it's somewhere on the outside or the back of the front of it. We've got no idea.
Yeah, it could be just an entrance to that. I mean, the cave, for all you know, the cave could go all the way back to that pyramid-shaped hill. And this is just one entrance area, but it's filled up over the centuries. It's filled up with sand. So that'll all have to be dug out. That'd be a huge job.
No, we couldn't even dream of it. The only way we could do it, as I say, if we had ground-penetrated radar, which we know we could find it. But anyhow, after he said, go and get some wood, I started walking out to get some wood. And guess what? Next to, well, you know what, because you read the book, but guess what to your listeners? Next to the cave, just quite close to it, in front of me stood a huge rock, must have been about 40 foot high, and it was in the shape of a tree, exactly what the psychic had told me.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So we found all the landmarks, found the cave, and that was it. That night, after all this exhaustion, we in fact, he cooked us a meal this time. I didn't cook the meal. He made it. We cooked up a meal, and we sat around the fire. And when the fire went down, remember, it gets cold out in Egypt at night, and we tucked ourselves off to go to sleep because the next day I wanted to drive out to the Bahrain Oasis, where I said we were going to go anyway, and I had to get back to Cairo a couple of days' time. I fell asleep. I must have been so exhausted, I fell asleep. And in the middle of the night, I could hear, I was disturbed, and I woke up. And it was my driver. And he came out to me, and he was screaming at me, screaming through the window. He says, open the window, open the window. He says, who's in there with you? And I, a bit dazed, just